Boolean union 16. Which of these is used to subtract material from a 3D object? A. Fillet. B. Pocket white heavy check mark. C. 17. To mirror a feature, you must first select A pad. B. A sketch. C. A mirror plane white heavy check mark. D. A toolpath. 18. The part workbench allows you to perform which operation? A. Create animation. B. Boolean operations white heavy check mark. C. Add textures. D. Perform simulation. 19. FreeCAD can import models from which format? A. .stl white heavy check mark. B. .xlsx. .mp4d. .exe20. What does pad do in part design? A. Removes material. B. Adds thickness. C. Extrudes a sketch into 3D white heavy check mark. D. Rotates an object. 21. What does pocket do in FreeCAD? Cuts material away from a body white heavy check mark. B. Adds fillet. C. Joins two solids. D. Adds thickness. 22. What is the use of constraints in Sketcher? Lock sketch from movement. B. Control dimensions and relations white heavy check mark. C. Animate sketches. D. Apply textures. 23. Which FreeCAD workbench is used for FEA analysis? A. Arch. B. Fem white heavy check mark. C. Ray tracing. D. Draft. 24. Which format is best for CAD data exchange in FreeCAD? A. Step white heavy check mark. B. .txtc. .xmld. .zip. 25. Which operation is needed to rotate a sketch into 3D shape? A. Pocket. B. Loft. C. Revolve white heavy check mark. D. Draft. 26. FreeCAD allows parametric design, meaning you can A. Animate parts. B. Undo command. C. Change dimensions and auto-update white heavy check mark. D. Apply constraints. 27. The loft tool in part design is used to A. Join multiple profiles in sequence white heavy check mark. B. Cut holes. C. Rotate bodies. D. Mirror sketches. 28. The origin in FreeCAD includes how many default planes? A. 1B, 2C, 3, white heavy check mark. D. 429. FreeCAD is available under which license? A. Proprietary. B. GPLv 3, white heavy check mark. C. MITD. Apache 30. What is the purpose of the fillet tool in FreeCAD? Add chamfers. B. Add curves to edges white heavy check mark. C. Create holes. D. Add texture. 31. Which axis is vertical by default in FreeCAD? A. X. B. Y. C. Z. White heavy check mark. D. None. 32. Which of these features allows linking to values in other parts? A. Draft. B. Spreadsheet white heavy check mark. C. Sketcher. D. Arch. 33. To save a FreeCAD file, you should use A. Save as image. B. Save as text. C. Save as .fcstd white heavy check mark. D. Export to SVG. 34. FreeCAD allows scripting using A. Perl B, Java C, Python white heavy check mark D, Bash 35. Which key resets the view orientation? A, FB, RC, 0D, 0, 0, on numpad white heavy check mark 36. Which of the following is a mesh format? A. .fcstdb. .stl white heavy check mark C. .dwgd. .csv 37. The recompute function is used to A. Rebuild corrupted files. B. Redo an operation. C. Update the model after changes white heavy check mark. D. Reset the view 38. What does the draft workbench focus on? A. Creating circuit boards. B. 39. Which menu allows you to switch workbenches in FreeCAD? A. File. B. Tools. C. View. D. Workbench white heavy check mark 40. Which workbench includes the clone tool? A. Mesh. B. Draft white heavy check mark C. Arch. D. Part design 41. The Boolean operation union does what? A. Cuts one part from another. B. Adds two solids together white heavy check mark C. Intersects solids. D. Adds thickness 42. The thickness tool is used to A. Add wall thickness to a shell white heavy check mark. B. Create a sketch. C. Apply texture. D. Duplicate objects 43. The helix primitive can be found in A. Part white heavy check mark. B. Sketcher. C. Fem. D. Spreadsheet 44. Which tool removes internal edges from a mesh? A. Clean mesh. B. Refine shape white heavy check mark. C. Boolean subtract. D. Compound filter. 45. FreeCAD supports which rendering engine? A. Lux Render white heavy check mark. B. Blender Cycles. C. Arnold. D. Redshift 46. To constrain a point to the origin in Sketcher, use A. Coincident constraint white heavy check mark. B. Horizontal constraint. C. Distance constraint. D. Fixed length 47. You can extrude a 2D profile using A. Pad white heavy check mark. B. Slice. C. Mesh. D. Analyze 48. Which panel shows the hierarchy of your model? A. Combo view white heavy check mark. B. 3D view. C. Task panel. D. Python console 49. Which FreeCAD tool lets you import Excel data? A draft. B. Spreadsheet white heavy check mark. C. Mesh. D. Sketcher 50. The check geometry tool is found in which workbench? A. Fem. B. Part white heavy check mark. C. Sketcher. D. Draft 51. Which FreeCAD workbench is mainly used for 2D drawing and snapping? A. Mesh. B. Draft white heavy check mark. C. Fem. D. Start 52. To create a new body in the part design workbench, you use A. Create group. B. Create body white heavy check mark. C. Create sketch. D. Create mesh 53. Which T54? To export a 3D model for 3D printing, you would use A. Export to CSV. B. Export as STL white heavy check mark. C. export as DOCD, export as SVG55. To simulate structural loads, which workbench is used? A. Arch B. Fem white heavy check mark C. Ray tracing D. TechDraw 56. Which feature allows sweeping a profile along a path? A. Pad B. Pocket C. Sweep white heavy check mark D. Mirror 57. What does the chamfer tool do? A. Rounds edges. B. Cuts off corners with a straight edge white heavy check mark. C. Adds holes. D. Moves the part 58. Which tool creates a 2D view of a 3D model for documentation? A. Draft. B. TechDraw white heavy check mark. C. Mesh. D. Animation 59. What does the draft to sketch tool do? A. Converts a solid to mesh. B. Converts draft objects to sketch white heavy check mark. C. Converts text to mesh. D. Exports to SVG60. In which format can TechDraw export technical drawings? A. .stlb, .pdf white heavy check mark. C. .xmld, .txt61. The feature used to rotate a part along an axis is called A. Revolve white heavy check mark. B. Translate. C. Clone. D. Mirror 62. Which of the following is not a type of constraint in Sketcher? A. Equal. B. Coincident. C. Weld white heavy check mark. D. Vertical 63. Which panel shows object properties in FreeCAD? A. Python console. B. Combo view white heavy check mark. C. Document tree. D. Status bar 64. FreeCAD supports scripting in which language? A. Bash. B. Python white heavy check mark. C. RD. Fortran 65. Which module lets you link external FreeCAD files? A. Draft. B. Assembly 3 white heavy check mark. C. Part D. Ray tracing 66. What is the purpose of the constraint solver in Sketcher? A. Apply materials. B. Check constraint validity white heavy check mark. C. Export to PDF. D. Run simulation. 67. Which workbench helps in creating exploded views and assembling parts? A. A2 plus white heavy check mark 68. What is the function of the clone tool in Draft Workbench? A. Create exact copies that update with the original white heavy check mark. B. Mirror object. C. Rotate object. D. Delete object 69. What tool do you use to make circular patterns? A mirror. B. Array. C. Polar pattern white heavy check mark. D. Thickness 70. To cut a hole through a 3D object, use A. Pocket white heavy check mark. B. Pad. C. Fillet. D. Chamfer 71. Which of the following is not a solid modeling feature? A. Pad. B. Pocket. C. Helix. D. Text string white heavy check mark 72. How do you create a hole at an angle? A. Use hole tool. B. Sketch on angled plane white heavy check mark. C. Rotate the model. D. Use draft array 73. The FEM workbench is used for A. Mesh modeling. B. finite element analysis white heavy check mark C, part duplication D, architecture 74. The ray tracing workbench allows a motion study. B. Rendering white heavy check mark C, CNC simulation D, wireframe 75. The shortcut for creating a new sketch is A. Control plus NB, Control plus KC. Sketcher new sketch white heavy check mark D. Shift plus D76. How can you change the background color in FreeCAD? A. Preferences display white heavy check mark B. Edit scene C. Format view D. Tools color 77. Which of these lets you simulate CNC paths in FreeCAD? A. Fem B, Mesh C, Path white heavy check mark D, Arch 78. To view the dependency graph of objects, use A. Combo View B, Dependency Graph Tool white heavy check mark C, Spreadsheet D, Draft Grid 79. To rotate the 3D view manually, use A. Scroll will be Shift plus right click white heavy check mark C, Control plus left click D, Alt plus middle click 80. Which shortcut fits the model in the screen? A. FB, VC, V plus AD. Fit all. Control plus F, white heavy check mark 81. The construction mode in Sketcher is for A. Creating reference geometry white heavy check mark B. Exporting C. Meshing. D. Animating 82. What happens if a sketch is underconstrained? A. It is fixed B. It cannot be padded C. It can move freely white heavy check mark D. It is locked 83. What is used to constrain a circle's diameter? A. Radius constraint B. Diameter constraint white heavy check mark C. Horizontal D. Tangent 84. To split a sketch line into two, you use A. Break at point white heavy check mark B. Cut C. Trim D. Detach 85. The object hierarchy is shown in A. Project tree white heavy check mark B. Status bar C. Python console D. Path simulator 86. Which tool lets you change object color? A. View appearance white heavy check mark B. Edit color C. Part property D. Mesh colorize 87. Which FreeCAD view allows adjusting line width, font, and styles for drawing? A. Spreadsheet B. Draft C. TechDraw white heavy check mark D. Ray tracing 88. The A2 Plus workbench is used for A. 3D sketching B. 2D drafting C. Assembly of parts white heavy check mark D. Sheet metal. 89. Which workbench should be used for basic 2D layout and snapping? A. Mesh B. Draft white heavy check mark C. F90. Which constraint fixes a circle at a point? A. Coincident white heavy check mark B. Horizontal C. Symmetric D. Equal 91. Which command allows extruding multiple profiles together? A. Pad B. Multipad white heavy check mark C. Offset D. Duplicate 92. What does the mirror tool do? A. Flip a sketch. B. Reflect around axis white heavy check mark. C. Export mirror object. D. Make drawing 93. How can you copy and paste an object?